Nice to see you, sir.
Nice to see you.
Dracula and Frankenstein are brand names. They're a lot of things. They're novels, they're ideas,
Yeah.
they're at different times they've existed in the public domain. You can kind of plug them into comedy, or you can say this is a science fiction version of Frankenstein, or
Mhm.
this is an environmentalist version of Frankenstein. They're not just signifiers, they're kind of brands. And I
Yeah.
thought that that was the great joke at the beginning of your film, that financiers hear those syllables, Dracula or Frankenstein, or I don't know, you can think of more contemporary examples, and immediately they don't care what the movie is because it can be sold or hooked to this perennial idea of Dracula. Abbott and Costello can meet Dracula. Andy
Yeah.
Warhol can meet Dracula.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
somewhere in there, you just sort out the details of the movie. It's very funny.
There's porn versions of Dracula, it's
Yeah.
but actually, the film, the original idea of the film came from a joke like that when I was
Of
in
course.
Rotterdam, Cinemart, the market for projects with my projects, Bad Luck Banging or Looney Porn, and when I saw that, these markets are you're at the table and you meet whoever is interested in your project from the participants, meaning distributors, sales agent, producers, producers, whatever. And there was not so much interest in this film. And at some point, out of a joke, it was really, really a joke. I said, but I have also a Dracula project, and I'm originally from Transylvania, and which is true. And they said, and it was all of a sudden an interest. It's quite striking to see so many people, and sometimes people who are from all kinds of social classes or all kinds of intellectual or academic grades, intellectuals or people from literature or from press, that they say this is what a movie should be: something serious with classical music, looking like Hallmark movies, about our great cultural heroes.
There's so many different movies in Dracula. There's so many different forms. That's like the only form that's not in there. Because even when you do the masterpiece theater period piece, the longest section of the film,
Yeah,
the most narrative section, you
yeah,
deliberately make it shoddy. The period is not convincing. There's cars in the background. You can see the
yeah.
lights. That part of Dracula is the closest to the kind of movie that you're describing, but you don't even have your heart in making it look like quality.
Well, yeah, well, I didn't think of that, but yeah, the guide was the historical avant-garde and trash cinema, which sometimes are connected if you think of Ed Wood or something like that, and the essay of Jay Hoberman, which is called Bad Movies, which for me
Great
is
piece.
very, very important. But when I think of avant-garde, I think of course, avant-garde phenomenon is the historical avant-garde is too rich, and in all directions. But I mean, at least in cinema, it meant a few things. First of all, avant-garde was always or mostly using low budgets. It's impossible to imagine, or I don't know that many avant-garde films which were made with 150 million. You cannot imagine a one battle after another budget for us.
Maybe Megalopolis.
Maybe Megalopolis. Okay, I have to see it.
Maybe.
I haven't seen it. And Birth of a Nation, if you want, like that.
Sure.
But so that's one thing, and we really had a very low budget, uh, compared with what we needed in order to make a proper films, let's say. And then there's another thing connected with avant-garde, which is, I think, a kind of dumbness, a kind of willed dumbness, which you can see, let's say, I think Warhol, who was
Sure.
named by someone, I don't remember who it was, the king of dumb. And in a way, and actually, I have a Warhol working behind me. Just it remained from another thing, but I think it's with an American riot. I think it fits the moment. And Warhol, he made things that that if you tell them, and even if you see them, they are dumb. Painting a soup can, painting a soap wrap, painting a dollar bill, making these films, shooting a building for hours, shooting a guy who sleeps for hours, etc. They are so dumb that, but because of dumbness, they go, I think, to another level because of this willed dumbness, like Fluxus films, which I think I even mentioned explicitly, sometimes are like that.
When Albert Serra made his film, which is kind of a Dracula movie, I don't want to talk about that movie necessarily, but I know at festivals when it played, there's at least a few people who went to see it not knowing what kind of movie it is because of that brand name of a
Yeah.
Dracula or a monster. I find that idea very funny. I love the idea of people seeing movies by accident. Because at film festivals, people go see things on purpose a lot of the time. It's their job.
Yeah.
They know auteurs or directors. They say, I really want to see this. I
Yeah.
kept thinking how funny it was that your movie is called Dracula, and Luc Besson's new movie is called Dracula, and there's going to be someone in a theater somewhere in some city who's going to see this, and they don't know what this is.
Oh no, but
That's
it happened
funny.
at the premiere of Dracula in France. At the first screening, it was a couple that after half an hour, so they needed half an hour. They went out
They went out.
screaming and saying, "Oh, what is this? We came to
Right.
see Luc Besson Dracula."
The thing about vampires is you have to invite them in. This is my
Yeah.
favorite part of the vampire myth is they can't just come into your house. You have to be like, come in, and then they come. That's
Uh-huh.
AI to me. We've let it in. And I wonder if your movie is part of the issue of letting it in, because satirically, I understand why you're using AI, but there's still a lot of AI in your movie. The vampire is in the house now.
Oh yeah, and well, it's funny because the AI thing was in the first stages of the film didn't exist at all because in the first stages, which mean the first script I think was I wrote it in the pandemic, the first version, in a different way, and there was nothing connected with AI, and then I imagined the fake AI, which is me,
Yeah,
as part of the narrator who's organizing the stories. And by the way, the stories are written by myself. There's no AI in the
of course.
screenwriting of it. But no, I say that you say of course, and I thought it's obvious in the film. But I think one article was saying something like, now we see that AI screenwriting doesn't go very far. It's very it's very bad. But it's not AI. It's my. But and then actually, as I told you before, we had to make um, economic decisions in order to make the film, and each decision was organized in such a way as to cut the cost, and still was high. And in the end, I had this, like, just by accident I found about a guy who's a musician, Vlaicu Golcha, and composer and jazz musician, and apparently someone told me, he likes AI, he's play a lot, he does music videos, so, and radio plays with AI voices, whatever. So I visited him and he showed me something. I said, well, let's do together. So I took all the complicated or expensive scenes that stayed in the script, and we did it in more or less in advance in order to see if it started from just a pragmatic and kind of Roger Corman, who's one of my heroes, as at least for his pragmatism towards budget making and filmmaking and film producing. So in a kind of Roger Corman-esque idea, we solved that in order to be able to make the film, and the reflection about that came later in a certain way. And of course I understood the connection right away between vampirism and AI as a kind of technology. And I didn't but I what I didn't realize, because when we did that, we did these videos before shooting the films, that I think in April or May 2023, when the 2024, when the thing wasn't that big still with and I realized it's going to be this because uh, at least in this area of actually in all areas in Romania, you don't have that big discussions about AI here because in film industry or the industry of images, television or whatever, it's so small that nobody's affected or could be affected really. I mean, it's too small to the stakes are too low to be something so huge and just before the premiere, I think when I saw some Twitter reaction saying, "I'm not gonna watch the film because it uses generative AI," or "Oh my God, this is so impossible. That's disgusting." And I said, oh, "What's wrong with you people? It's just the technology is there. It's you can use it. Okay, I can understand there's some and a lot of issues, philosophical issues, technical, ecological, moral, or whatever. But I think any technology has those. Maybe there's
Well,
more,
then
or maybe they are placed in a different way. I agree, or maybe should be taxes or whatever put on this. I'm not against. It's just that if it's there, and as a filmmaker from a peripheral country, I can do it, and I will do it. I will do anything which is legally possible to make the films. I don't care if a great filmmaker like Guillermo del Toro comes in front of people in LA audiences after he made his films with I don't know how many dozens or hundreds of millions of dollars and screams fuck AI. Well, I said, well, he's from another planet. On my planet, it's not possible to do that.
I'll bite my tongue on that one. The whole movie to me creates a context of skepticism for the last scene because there is a way an audience reacts to that scene. I found in the theater I was in. I mean, I'm talking about the construction worker and his daughter.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I'm not even talking about the poem or the political context, which is incredibly complex, and it is. But there's a relief that we have something like realism now. And not just realism, but a kind of festival realism, a kind of drab festival realism. All of the arrogance and the provocation and the trolling has fallen away. You have something very relatable, very emotional, maybe allegorical, which is what we're used to seeing in festival films. This is how we, in America and Canada, experience the rest of the world. We go, oh, this movie's an allegory about Romania. This is how we're told to read movies.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
And
yeah.
I didn't trust it for a second because your movie made me very skeptical because you can do anything as a filmmaker. You are stacking all these different kinds of reality on top of each other. And by the end, I wanted to be moved by it. And it is moving. But I was also like, this filmmaker is just fucking with me. I don't know.
Oh, hard to no. I mean I'm very close to your interpretation, but I can understand the others as well because no, actually it was just a desire to I don't know, get back to reality, to use to have so many facets of or faces of this myth in the Romanian context, because this I knew from the beginning that in order to do something which is not like others Hollywood films or whatever that can I have to invent or to find a local perspective on this myth, which is something I can control and I can offer. And I was so I think I needed for myself to somehow get back to reality at the end, to go after this trip in the imaginary and allegorical and metaphorical, to come back before getting out of the film, to come back to something closer to home, so to speak. But if I am, if you believe it or not, or if it's convincing or not, I'm not sure. But no, this filmmaker is fucking with me. It's something that is not. I wouldn't phrase it like that, because it's interesting that some of reactions of the hostile reactions in Romania, including from people who are from critics, and I respect criticism and I like criticism. I'm interested in criticism and in theory, contrary to many other filmmakers.
Yeah.
But also from people from literature or from other things, it's like we felt this guy fucked us the whole film. We felt we were he's mocking us all the time, and for me this was well, not painful, but I said no, I wouldn't make a film and put so much effort into it and so much energy and time and nervous breakdowns just to make fun of the viewers. It's I believe in that. I really believed that was my intention, that I can offer something new, or at least in partly new about this myth, and I can combine my taste for trash, for avant-garde, for literature. I think is a very literary film. For digressions and for the literature, all literature of digression, like Cervantes, for instance. So I can offer mix all this in a film that is going to be a celebration of storytelling, a celebration of playfulness, a celebration of ludic elements in cinema, mixed sometimes with serious things, but is mostly playful, and people will love it. And I was very shocked to see that it's not true. They say, "Oh, he's mocking us."
The casting for the sex show, that's the part of the movie that's about theater. Can you just tell me about those performers and about making that part of the film in particular?
The two
The
actors.
two. Yeah.
Well, Gabriel Spahiu is a professional actor. I work with him a lot, and he's I think he's perfect for the part. In the end, and Juana Maria Zahari, I think is a more interesting character. I'm just finishing with her a script based on some experiences that she knows about regarding erotic chat for our independent film
Right.
that we're going to do in the summer. She's going to be the lead in. Actually, it's a diptych film. In one part, she's going to play the lead, and we co-wrote the script together. And she's a very interesting person. She's a mix of things. She's someone she's acting, she's singing in a band, or she used to sing. I don't know if she has it yet. She's doing a lot of revolting things for people, like nude posing and all kinds of uh, non-polite things that
Right.
a serious woman shouldn't do. She's doing them. She's playing. I saw her playing naked on the stage or this kind of stuff, and she's very open and very nice and very serious. So I was really fortunate, I think, to meet her. Actually, I interviewed her as a research material, because at some point she was kicked out from a school because they discovered her nude photos
Right.
and her artistic project, and she was kicked out. So I met her to discuss this, and I was so impressed that I said, look, I'm gonna give you a part if I do this film as an outraged parent in Bad Luck Banging or Looney Porn, which I
Of
did.
course.
And
Yeah.
then we worked a bit more together. And here, I think I wrote the part for her, imagining her imitating the vampira of Ed Wood, Ed Wood movies. Since we shot with iPhone, it was easy to disguise ourselves as a kind of tourist. And we shot in this city, small city of Sighișoara, where Vlad the Impaler was born for real. And so there's a lot of in the summer months, there's a lot of crazy tourism around, only for that. I mean, everybody who's coming there, it's no need. I mean, it's a medieval city, so maybe there's people interested in seeing this small medieval, really small. I mean, it's a few hundred meters on both
That's it,
sides.
eh?
It's not that much, the old part on a hill, and an old castle with walls around. But mostly they come to visit the place of birth of Vlad.
The thing with the vampire that frightens me, or when you think about the vampire and capitalism too, is it's immortal. You have to kill it, or it will not go away.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
And I think that the vampire narrative, like you can't move away from a vampire, you can't wait it out. Like it will come for you unless you stop it. You have to put a stake through the heart. There's an idea of resistance to vampirism. You know, the vampire has to be stopped or it run. I mean, the novel Dracula is about like buying property. You know, it's
Yeah.
about buying property and establishing an empire in the old world, moving in to the new. The aesthetics of the vampire are very flexible. I mean, the vampire can now be very sexy. The vampire can be very subcultural. I mean, you know all this. But
Mhm.
fundamentally, the vampire is immortal. You have to kill the thing that won't die. And when I think about your film and that idea of a thing that won't die, whether it's a kind of fascist impulse or
Yeah.
the abuses of the church or the predations of capitalism, it's very bleak because it's unless you have a stake and a heart, you can't do anything.
Oh, that's a beautiful interpretation. I will use it from now on. I
Oh
didn't
no,
think
no.
of that.
I was just
Yeah.
going to say that because we started with the poster being in the background, like the idea that there are monsters or creatures that always need to be dealt with is true. You know, whatever you think of the new Frankenstein, I was writing about it and I was looking at how many Frankenstein movies there were. I think the first one is 1910. You know,
Yeah.
Dracula, I don't need to tell you the iterations. I guess it's that we're always scared of something. And the things that we're scared of are pretty consistent, you know, the loss of identity or
Mhm.
the idea
Mhm.
that something is trying to just suck us completely
Yeah.
dry. The readings on your film on Dracula that I like the most are the ones that say it really actually is a horror movie. That
I
that
think
it's
so. I think
that it's fright that's a frightening film. And I'm not saying it with a smirk. I think Dracula is very scary. You're Dracula.
I think so, but it's not.
I know,
Yeah.
not. What? Okay, here's my last dumb question. What's the scariest movie you've ever seen? Like that you were actually viscerally frightened by. You didn't like looking at the shots or the images, and you just wanted
Oh,
to stop.
well, it's hard
Or
to
one.
depends on the well, I think the film of Abbas Fadel, the film, the documentary called Homeland Iraqi Year Zero.
That was the hardest movie for you to watch.
Yes, and the scariest because at some point he does these things when the character of the kid, that kid is intro, if you remember the film or if you saw it, I don't know. It's a 5 hours long, and at some point there is a kid and there's a text which tells you that later on the kid is going to be killed.
Hmm.
And I felt like collapsing, waiting for that moment to happen, and looking at this beautiful kid with tears in my eye because you know already. So when that moment came just at the end of the film, his the kid was killed by some stray bullets while in the car with him, with the filmmaker, and with his family, and it's that I think for me was the scariest thing to watch in a film. I don't know.
It's amazing what movies can do to us. And I would actually say that being scared is something I think the movies do better than anything else to do.
It's true. I didn't have this experience because in communist Romania, horror movies were forbidden. You
Forbidden.
would you didn't have them in cinemas. You didn't have them on TV. So I didn't have that experience as a kid.
Well, I grew up trying to scare myself, and then anytime I watched something that was actually scary, I would say, "Good, this is good," and then I would put it to the
Okay.
side and watch something else. It's a pleasure and a privilege to talk to you, man. Your movies are so good. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Nyman, and I'm a big fan of your books
Oh
as
no, no,
well and
no,
of
no.
your writing. So.